it's not about making good money at the very beginning of your career, but it's more about how you learn to work with other people. Self-discipline is definitely the key. Deliver beyond what is expected out of your role. For international company to be successful coming to that, they have to serve the local palate, learn the local way, adjust certain things to fit in the local context. But of course, keep the good things that you have. One thing that I learned is that people are coachable if only they want to be coached. If they don't want to be coached, don't waste your time on that. Forget about the size of your organization. It's about whether you can deliver what you promise from the customer point of view. That's all matters.
All right, so today I am sitting down with Khun Chokdee Wisansing. Really happy to have you today, Khun Chokdee. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine, Scott. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, so I want to give a brief introduction of who you are. You have been the COO or the CPO of some of the biggest conglomerates here in Thailand, including AWC, Central, and Yum. But I've also seen the other side of you, which is the smaller business side, because you also have a new small business, a relatively new small business. Can you explain that briefly?
Yeah, sure. I started off my career as a professional employee, working for banks, working for a company, both in Thailand and overseas. I grew up my career in the corporate world until I become, at one stage, a chief operation officer with different company, with different organization. And then I became a chief people officer as well. Now that I'm retired, it just happened May last year that I have reached my retirement age at 60. So now I'm free as a bird. But I also try to look for things to keep me occupied. So I start to own a business. It's a small business. It's a confectionery business that keep me going. And most important of all is help me realize my dream about how I can help develop younger generation.
Yes. And so that brings me to something that I've seen from you, or the way that I look at you sometimes, Khun Chokdee, is that I've seen you through the Australian Thai Chamber, right? I've seen you involved in Next Gen, which is a subcommittee of Australian Thai. And I see you as a bridge between the gap of sort of the young generation and the older generation, as well as a bridge between the gap of the small business and the large business. Because as you said, you had a long experience working for very large companies, but you're also involved in the chamber working with smaller companies and now having your own, right? And then the other thing is, of course, your education and everything and your experience has, I think, a bridge between the Thai business or the Thai way of doing business, but also the international or Western way of doing business. So that's, I think, the main reason I really wanted to have you on was because I think there's a lot of wisdom that you can share because you have that breadth of experience. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Happy to share, what I have done, over the years. If I may begin, I'm born and raised here in Bangkok, and has always a dream of becoming a white collar since I was a high school student. So from there onwards, I went to study at Thammasat University. I got my degree in economics, and that's basically prepare myself to become a good white collar worker. So after graduation, I went to work for a bank, fulfill my dream, and then I realized that being a white collar at the junior level, you don't earn very much. In order to become successful, to go up the corporate ladder, you need to do a lot of hard work and basically prepare yourself to go up the corporate ladder. Working in a large organization, there are a lot of people in the organization, but how can you break through corporate ladder? How can you climb up? For me, it's all about having a good discipline, dedication, hardworking. That's normal. I think in order to be successful, we know people have to put in a lot of hours and hard work. On top of that, it's about discipline, dedication, and follow the direction that you receive, especially when you are at a junior level. I later learned it's not about making good money at the very beginning of your career, but it's more about how you learn to work with other people, how you learn to develop yourself with continuous learning approach, right? And dedication on what you do, and there is no compromise in that regard, right? Self-discipline is definitely the key, and keep deliver what is expected out of your role, and better than that, deliver beyond what is expected out of your role, right? And in a later year, the financial reward will come. This is what I believe.
Well, and that really brings up, I think, something you sometimes might see is people moving up the corporate ladder by job hopping or trying to move up that way. So it sounds like you're more of a proponent of the money comes later. Maybe don't think of that first and try to get the short-term wins of, I got a few extra 1,000 baht in my salary. Maybe that's short-term thinking, right?
There were times in my career that I look at people job hopping and get their salary increase. And later on, until I became a chief people officer of AWC at the time, I have seen many younger people adopt that approach. And it's proven that it's not sustainable. Because job hopping, let's say if you stay within a job for less than a year or two, right? You don't have enough time to achieve something great. For me, I can speak from the bottom of my heart. No, that's not the right way. You eventually you have to show that you have perseverance. You have gone through up and downs in your career. Sometimes it's not because of you, but sometimes it's a economic situation, the market condition. When there's a Gulf War or when there's a COVID, economic situation go ups and down. And once you have gone through those easy time, tough time, difficult time, at least it's something that it will always stay with you. Nobody can take that away. And you can be confident when you talk about what you have achieved in your career.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to bring up and ask you about, is that with job hopping, I can see people benefiting in a way short-term on the resume and saying, I work for this company or I worked in this division, right? So from a resume perspective, at the surface, it may look okay. But then to your point, you're probably not doing a lot of change management or actually having a big impact in 6 months or a year. And so when you're now interviewing for another job or trying to do something else, you probably don't have as much experience at that deeper level. And I think we've all kind of interviewed individuals where you start asking them some deeper questions and they don't have those deeper answers, right? So it sounds like you need a bit more time.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Growing someone's career, it's not a quick things. Good things take time, and not only that the result that you have to deliver according to your role, but what about working relationship? How do you, what kind of relationship do you have with your peers, with your subordinate, or with your superior? A successful professional, once they grow up the ladder, you can tell that there will be a large group of people who used to be their subordinate behind them, right? Yeah. When you go into networking or business event, you will see leaders who are admired by a large group of people who can give opinion on certain things and people would listen and follow. Whereas if you keep changing from one company to another company, you will not have a large a group of people behind you who can talk positive thing about you. Okay, I'm glad I'm not one of those. I do believe I do have friends and colleague and ex-colleague who can speak up for me if I if I need that.
It's interesting, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but we were talking before about now that you are retired and maybe you're doing some level of consulting and other things like this. It's that you now have that network to where you know who needs help or you know who to trust. I mean, you essentially seem to have that following or those people in different places that are helpful to you at this stage, and you're probably helpful to them as well. So it's essentially, as you said, playing the long game.
It is a long game. It's a marathon, definitely. It's not a quick dash.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so the main sections that I wanted to make sure we talk about today, systems, people, and mindset, because I think you're definitely a systems-minded individual. You clearly care about people, given, of course, the positions you've been in. And on the mindset side, I think it's back to that positivity and outlook. And so I want to definitely touch on that a bit as well. But on the system side, I'm curious if we take the perspective of companies that are expanding into Thailand, right? So these large companies that are saying, I want to see how I can hit the Thai market. I'm curious if you've seen what's worked well for companies as they're expanding their operations into Thailand or trying to service the Thai market. And if there are any cases of things that haven't worked well or any failures that you've seen as these companies are trying to expand into Thailand.
Yep. Let me break this topic into two areas. I think for a company in general to work well, that is one part, and the other part I will talk about how as international company can come to Thailand and operate successfully here. My thought about that. So that's a separate part. Now let's go back to the first part. In my career, I happened to learn from one book, but I'm sorry, it's my bad. I don't remember from where it is, but I can say it's not mine. There are 3 S, which is very important. First, as a company, you have to have a strategy, because the strategy will define the direction of the company moving forward. The strategy will define what are the requirements to make that strategy. So number one, the company have to have a clear strategy, what the company want to have, right? Then, in order to make that strategy happen successfully, you have to have a system. So this is the second S, right? Running with system will help make sure, will help avoid all the possible risks, right? Things run with a system, and you eliminate the human error part because you have a good system. And the third S is the structure. So once you have the strategy, you apply the system, and now you can design the structure of the organization to fit in how to deliver the strategy and how to make good use of the system you have. Now, when it comes to structure, then it's about people, right? You put the right person to the right job, put the right man to the right job, and each and every member of the organization, they have to know exactly what are their roles, why are they there, right? And once they know clearly what are their roles, then they can start thinking of them, what do they have to do on a daily basis to fulfill the requirement of their role. Right? At the end of the day, no one is bigger than the organization. And now I can say who quote this one. It's Sir Alex Ferguson. He said that no one is bigger than the team. Everyone has the role to play, no matter who within the organization. And you just have to make sure that you fulfill the requirement of your role. It would be even better that you expand your role, and you help the organization, help your colleague, help your subordinate, or even help your superior to deliver their role successfully, and you are a helper to them as well. So if everyone in the organization completely fulfill their role, expand their role to help others to fulfill their roles. Wow, what a great company! What a great company that we will have. So I think this is what I learned, and I think it's important for a company to be successful to have this. Now, should I move on to the second part?
Well, one just comment I wanted to make on that is you're mentioning how important it is to be clear on what the roles are.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you've seen this before, but when I think roles are not very clear, I think everyone tends to feel that they're doing a favor for somebody else.
Oh.
You know, and so then, you know, people will do the thing, but they'll think, oh, I'm doing that for this other person. And I'm curious if you've seen that before, though, where there's tension because people didn't make the roles clear, the relationship between different departments clear. And then so everyone's living in this middle zone where it's vague and no one really knows. Have you seen that happen before?
I think a good, well-defined structure will help eliminate the issue that you just mentioned. I learned in my career the importance of having a clear, defined role. But okay, let me step back one more time. Before you can define which role to have within the organization, you have to have a good picture of what your organization, how you want it to look like first. By all means, it's not necessarily to follow structure of other organization. You can create your own. This is at the liberty of the leader, how you want to have the organization, the way you want. All right. It doesn't have to be hierarchical.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be too flat as well. Define your own according to your business need, right? It doesn't mean that let's say I graduated from economic. I don't have to be only economist, or someone who is I don't know, and a computer engineer, graduated from computer engineer. It doesn't mean he or she has to only perform that role. If he has other interests in other functions, let so be it. I said all this all the time. In my mind, I'm thinking of my personal company that I own now. My nephew, who is graduated from computer science, and now he is the operation manager producing candies. My accountant is a law graduate, and she's doing my accountant. So okay, I think that come later, but it's about defining the structure. You find the person who fit in the role within your the structure that you design. You don't have to follow anyone, right? You can combine role. For example, in my organization now, I have one person who in charge of procurement and stocks management, and that's a primary role, and the secondary role is sales. So people can have a primary role and secondary role as well. So, well, I can talk a lot more on this one, but in order to avoid the gray area that you just mentioned, first, if you define the role clearly, it will help eliminate the gray area. And secondly, yeah, if that happen, again, is about the sense of ownership, sense of belonging, teamwork, that the leader will have to nurture that, promote that.
Got it. Yeah, so I'm definitely gathering there's not one right answer to any of this, but it sounds like having the strategy and having the structure, and even if you're creating your own structure that hasn't been done maybe before, or it's a different hybrids, as you mentioned, having primary function and secondary functions, it's that at least everyone knows what they are. It sounds like that transparency and visibility sounds very important. Now, again, going to the international expansion sort of thing, I mean, what do you say on that side of it when it comes down to companies that are trying to expand into Thailand? Maybe they don't understand Thailand well enough, but I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
This is a great topic because I have a hands-on experience at many occasions to work with international company and bring them to Thailand. I think the successful case that I have witnessed with my own eyes, I think I can talk about KFC, for example. KFC is our leading brands here in Thailand. At one stage in my career, I had a privilege to work for Yap Restaurant International. I was a chief operation officer here, and I'm very proud to work for that organization, such a great brand, good reputation worldwide, and here in Thailand is a well-established brand. Thais love KFC fried chicken. It's a success story of how a successful international brand can come and operate here. If you go to KFC in Thailand, you will find some local dishes. I think last week they just launched khao pra phao kai frog, which is a popular Thai dish. Of course, you don't see that in any other KFC in the whole wide world. Only in Thailand. Just one example, but I think the audience know that KFC had many product, many menu that adjusted to the local. So the great story is for international company to be successful coming to that, they have to serve the local palate, learn the local way, and adjust whatever, adjust certainty to fit in the local context. But of course, keep the good things that you have. KFC is a world-class operation system. Keep that and implement that kind of world-class operation system here in this market. The Thais will learn the world-class standard, learn how to operate in a systematic way. But when it's come to adjust to the local customer requirement, you should have that flexibility. Should have flexibility. Another successful story that I could tell, I could share from my own experience is as back in it must have been almost 20 years ago when I helped a Thai company, a central restaurant group at the time, to introduce a ramen brand here in Thailand. Traditionally, ramen noodles served in Japan is come in a big bowl. And we managed to convince the Japanese ramen brand to allow us to serve a smaller portion. Right? My argument was at the time was that because Thai we always like to we eat in a much smaller portion, right, compared to the US, compared to Japan. With that argument, right, I managed to convince the brand to allow me to serve a smaller portion. Actually, it's a children size for Japanese. Right? And I told them, look, I promise that the revenue will not grow. In restaurant language, we call the average ticket sales per person, per customer. I guarantee it will not drop because I know for a fact that Thai will not order only a ramen, but they will order side dishes. Yes. Because Thai love side dishes. Right? Whereas in Japan, in the traditional way, people will have their ramen, and maybe they'll have a fried dumpling they use, maybe, right? But Thai, we like to eat many other side dishes. So with the smaller size, Japanese children's size to Thai, with the ticket average, the sales was met the expectation, and it went beyond the expectation too. This another good example of how international brands come to operate in Thailand, adjust to the local consumer behavior, and become successful.
Excellent. So I guess if you're coming in, and I think it's easy if you've had a lot of success around the world to believe that you're just going to have success. There can maybe be some level of arrogance in thinking it's just going to work in Thailand. Whereas if you instead adapt to the local, palate and way of eating and things like this, it sounds like in this case you can do the same if not better, right? So that's great. Now I'm curious then about other adaptations, because some people that come to Thailand and some companies might come across Thai time.
Oh,
So maybe not necessarily always on time to meetings or always on time to events, things like this. That's what we call Thai time. Now I'm assuming that doesn't work in larger organizations. And to be honest, when I go to some of these bigger companies, it seems that everyone seems on time. My meal gets to me on time, things like this. So I'm curious if you have an opinion on that. And one other thought that comes to mind is, I think I have more Thai time than you do nowadays, because you are someone who, even just organizing this interview, you're moving forward, you've got your plan, you've got your calendar, and you're more on time than I am. I can tell you that much. So I'm curious, what is your opinion on this? And do you have any, I guess, advice to, let's say, the smaller business owners or the larger ones that are trying to adapt to Thailand and they're noticing some cultural differences? Do you think that with SOPs and with standardization, you're able to achieve the same level that you can achieve in other countries?
it's a cultural thing. You're right. It's a cultural thing. I think if you talk to people like myself, you experience a certain level of time management. Right? I think if you talk to people in upcountry in Thailand, they operate totally different. But I wouldn't say what is right or what is wrong. Is different way of living. Is how they've been brought up, how they have grown up within that environment. Whether is time the most important thing, like we have to give priority, or you were born in a rural area when your 24 hours have different priority. I was fortunate to be exposed to diverse culture, Western culture, Eastern culture, North, South, etc. So I have developed my own way of time management, right? Definitely, I won't say mine is better than others, but it's my way of managing my time, which I would say it would start from, if people want to learn from me, then I'm happy to share. I think it's more about respect. It's more about respect. And first and foremost, before you can respect others, you have to respect yourself first. I respect myself. And how do I do that? Is because I want to achieve so many things within 24 hours, within 7 days. I learned that the only way that I can achieve those many things is to put things on calendar. Now we, in the old days, we have to carry a diary. And now with the convenience of mobile phone, you can put everything on your mobile phone. So I have trained myself to make good use of a calendar in my phone, because I respect myself. I know that I can predict myself what's gonna happen within the course of the day or within the course of the week. Everything is in my calendar, and I respect myself to follow that, right? And of course, then come when I respect others, that by be on time. Or if you really can't, you have to let people know well in advance that you really can't, how long you're going to be late, etc., etc. It's more about respect, and I know there are many Thais who are like me as well. So who respect themselves, respect others, and like to be on time. So
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking from the perspective of some owners that might have experienced it and not know how to deal with it, not knowing how to attract the right people that then that essentially are very professional and can do that. But at the same time, I guess the lesson I'm hearing from you, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's lead by example, right? So respect yourself, respect your employees, do these things, and you're creating a culture of that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I think, yeah, back to the point that create your own things. For me, I think each and every one of us, can create your own life, can create your own structure, can create your own way of living, can create your own time, create your own dream, and make your own. Because at the end of the day, nobody gonna give you. You can achieve what you want by creating your own.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Which brings me into the kind of the topic of talent and people, because again, people seem central. Respecting people, attracting the right people, building something with the other people on your team to make something bigger than yourself, right? So people is a big part of this. But I will share that there seems a bit of a conflict. I'm sure this always happens, but there's a little bit of a conflict between the younger generation and the newer generation. And as I said before, I feel that you're a bit of a bridge because, as you're retiring from your career, still obviously still involved in a lot of companies and a lot of initiatives. But at the same time, there's this younger generation coming in that wants to do things differently. And so since you've seen both sides of that, what is your opinion on this? How do we find this mix to where we're leveraging the younger, energetic generation, but we're also taking the wisdom from the older generation?
I'm very passionate about this topic, Scott. Really, this drive me going each day is this topic. I'm truly passionate about this. Why? Because when I look at what is happening in the world, what's happening in Thailand, at the end of the day, across generation, we will have to coexist. We cannot have one generation without other generation. Or we have to coexist. Now, how can we coexist peacefully and successfully, and everyone get what they want? I think older generation been there, done that, right? Unfortunately, there are some who doesn't give much credit to the emerging of the younger generation, which I feel sorry for that. But at the same time, I also see younger generation who disregard whatsoever what the past generation have done and have achieved. But I don't think the world should build that way, right? For those who are elder, I realize myself every day that my time is getting less and less, and I'm not saying this in a sad way. Yeah? It's a natural thing. I should start counting down already because I'm 61 this year, right? And I'm not gonna be there another 60 years. So it's time to pass on to the next generation and make sure that they will be perform better than what baby boomer or what Gen X have done. It should be about helping them make sure that they're on the right path, and one day they will perform better than what baby boomer and Gen X has achieved. On the other side, younger generation, be mindful that one day you will be old as well. One day you will be in 30 years time you will be old, and there will be another younger generation coming to replace you, right? So I think it's about respect, right? And we have to coexist. It would be best if we can coexist in good harmony and respect each other. the way they deserve. That the older generation, they deserve to be respected because what they have, all the knowledge and experience that they have accumulated, it's it must have worth something. It cannot be garbage. It must have worth something. Look at the way the world we're living in. Look at Thailand. We want it to be, but it's not bad, no. It's not garbage. So keep them the credit that they deserve. But at the same time, elder generation have to listen because the world will belong to the younger people sooner or later, and it will always belong to the younger generation afterwards also. So and now I must say that younger people now, actually you are much better than when I was at your age, because now you have technology to help, right? At my time, if I want to learn something, I have to go to class, I have to go to the library, I have to read books. Now you don't have to go to the library anymore. Now you have knowledge at your fingertips. Now you have AI. So this generation, at the savage, you're much smarter, much more efficient. But at the same time, please don't be too much confidence in what you have, because the glass is never full. Right? If you live your life with half empty, then you can always learn more and be even better. So I think I'd love to see we all live, coexist, respect each other, listen to each other, don't disregard anyone, because if you start with respect, then I think that's the way we should live together, respect each other, learn from each other. I don't think that being older meaning that I know better, that's wrong. That's wrong, especially in today's context where technology is so advanced. But no any single older generation know better than AI though. No way. So
Yeah, it's interesting. The challenge flipped from, to your point, you had to seek out the knowledge, to now we're overwhelmed by knowledge. Now it's actually hard to figure out where to focus because we're bombarded with new information all the time.
Yeah.
Now, something that I've seen, I know you're involved with, is I think a lot of people approach you and, for mentorship, for things like this. But something I've heard from you in the past is that while you definitely don't have this push mentality, right? People come to you, right? But then additionally, I've heard you say before that you learn from the younger generation, right? So is that part of the reason that you've mentored people before? Because it goes both ways?
Yes, absolutely. Many years back, I did my coaching lesson, and that opened my eyes, the way how I approach things. At that time, I did not know what coaching is all about. I just wanted to be able to communicate with my teenager kids. So this is like 10 years ago. But once I graduated from that coaching classes, I really enjoy using the coaching technique, not only to help other people, but to help me get into other people as well, to communicate with other people as well. One thing that I learned is that people are coachable if only they want to be coached. If they don't want to be coached, they're not coachable. Don't waste your time on that.
Now, a bit of a change of gears. I think that another topic that we mentioned, AI, and the world is changing very quickly, right? And so I'm curious if you have any thoughts on stability. And the reason I say this is because sometimes people think of a large company as being large and stable. I've got my good set job, I'm good to go. And then some people think smaller businesses are less stable, right? They're changing all the time. They're dynamic. They might be able to move quickly, but they might also fail. I'm just curious, with AI coming in, I think we're seeing sometimes both large and small organizations needing to shift, right? Sometimes needing to downsize, sometimes growing, right? They're going back and forth. And I'm just curious how you think of stability. Like how is it if someone wants to keep their job, if they want to excel and be seen, do you have any recommendations for them in times of uncertainty about how they can have that, not be worried about their job all the time?
I'm a strong believer of stability because people need to be secure. But at the same time, we all know that change is constant. We all know that as well. How do I apply the two concepts? I think change is constant. We all know that, especially in business environment, you have to be able to adjust quickly, right? Being nimble and in order to respond to the change in the business environment. But in order to make that change, I believe you need to have a stable team to deliver that. I highly recommend to go back to the first 3S that I mentioned: the strategy, the system, the structure. I would design the structure, especially for SME business, to have a very lean structure. My own company, I kept it as 10 staff. Only 10. These are the core member of the company. These are the people who I will look after and make sure that their well-being look after, and they will grow. And if we success together. So by having a lean structure, right, I managed to keep it stable. For the change or when things happen, then I look for possible outsourcing or adding part-time. Right? But the core team has to be solid, stable, know each other well, trust each other, can talk openly and freely to each other, regardless of under order or people within the order. I try to keep it as flat as possible, and everybody can speak up their mind and make recommendation for the better of the company. By the way, the slogan, the tagline of the company is about a better living for all. We are there to make a better living for all. And for that reason, every member of my organization can speak up if they believe it's make a better living for all. It has to be for all, not only for one person or for the customer or for the shareholder. It's including supplier, business partner, everyone. So I want to make sure that everyone in the organization embrace the idea of we are there to make a better living for all. Now, in order to manage the change, right? Once you have your core team, right, you respond to the change. Strategy that I use is what can be outsourced? How can you hire a part-time to do certain tasks? So this is how I balance between stability within the organization and to manage the change environment.
That reminds me back of, we were talking before about, it's this slow path. Let's say that it's working within an organization. You were saying before, don't just be looking at the salary, go slow and steady, right? And the money comes later. And it sounds like your approach in the smaller business is similar in the way that it's slow and steady. Don't overinvest and hire 50 new employees. You have that core, and then expand through, as you said, outsourcing and part-time employees to kind of build that up. But then to your point, now it's stable for those core employees that have proven themselves, right? And it sounds like too, I think you brought up the fact that since it's smaller number of core employees, they might need to wear a couple of hats,
Yep.
right? Yep. But if they have their primary and secondary roles and everyone knows what those roles are, then of course everything can be filled, right?
Let me share this. For those who are small company, small enterprise, believe me, it's only you who know that you are small. But when you go to talk to other people, no one has any idea whether you are small or you are medium, or even if they have a perception that you're small because you show them that you're small, even they have a perception that you're small, they don't know how small, tiny, or this small or that small. People don't know. It's how you portray your position. This is a time for younger generation. Start your own. If you have a good idea, don't be afraid. Don't feel less confidence because you are small. No one know how small you are. They always think you are bigger than you actually are. Believe me. But it's all about how you portray yourself. Do you speak with confidence? Do you know about your product? Do you know what you are doing? Have you thought it through? Have you thought it through? You have if you can provide the answer that the customer want, if you can provide the answer that financial institution want, if you can find the answer of a larger company that looking for solution, if you can provide that, they don't care that you are small or big, but you can solve their problem.
I'm curious if you have an opinion on this, but to your point, they don't know whether or not you're small. I'm curious whether or not it's even necessarily bad if you're small, in that I've seen some smaller organizations benefit by being small, right? And so I think one thing that I'm curious if you have an opinion on is some people, I think, try to fake looking bigger than they are, right? And I don't think that's what you're talking about, right? Because they don't know that you're small. But what I mean is some people say, oh, let's make a big company website that looks like a big building and it looks like it has all these staff. And I mean, I personally would believe that that's a disadvantage because you're trying to be something that you aren't. Versus if you're smaller, you might be more nimble, you might have more of a personal touch, you might have, to your point, you're not scared to say that you have 10 employees. If I'm ordering candy for a big event or for, whether it's large or small, I don't dislike the fact that it's 10. I don't wish that you said you had 50 employees because to me, I care about the product.
It's about whether you can deliver what you say. Can you deliver or not? If you can, then regardless of what size you are, but you can deliver, right? At the agreed price, as the agreed quality, and as the agreed quantity, you're good. Forget about the size of your organization. It's about whether you will be deliver what you promise. That's all matter from the customer point of view. Or even financial institution, if you have to ask for loan, whether you can pay back according to what has been agreed in the loan agreement. That's all it matters. Because banks are there to make money as well from borrower, right? So it's about you respect yourself, you respect your other. If you say you're gonna pay on time, you pay on time. If you say you're gonna deliver in full on time, you just do that, and that's how you grow, how you learn and grow, and you develop. Of course, if you fail to deliver, there's no future. There's no future, right? Which come to the point that yes, smaller organization, because you're nimble. I got an order in November, 7,000 pieces of lollipop. And we deliver. We put everyone together because we are so small, we are nimble, and people, we have trust in each other, we have a good team. We do beyond what is expected out of our role. Because at the end of the day, we are measured by the result. KPI mean nothing. At the end result have to be delivered. The end result is 7,000 pieces of lollipop have to deliver on certain date, certain time. We do what it takes. Smaller organization, you're so nimble that you are not limited to only 8 hours, 9 hours working. You're not limited only to office hours. So if we have to stay 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, so be it. And I'm sure this will resonate to many of our audience who are a small entrepreneur.
Well, this actually brings me to a bigger question more about you, is that why put yourself through this, right? Because there's a lot of stress that goes along with delivering like that, right? And my, given your career, I'm assuming you didn't need to start a business now. So can you tell me the background behind why you decided to start Candy Crush, why you are still doing it today, what you're trying to achieve with it? Give me that whole perspective, because again, it doesn't seem easy.
Okay, well, happy to share, but I can assure you I was not stressed. I don't stress easily. I hardly stress. Stress. So that's one cool thing. So Candy Crush is confectionery business. We have two retail shops, one at the Siam Center in Siam Square area, and the other one at the Icon Siam. So that are two retail shops. And in addition, for retail business, we do a B2B business as well. We make candies, we make lollipop for a company that they want to have some giveaway or souvenir, or even like a brand building exercise to put their logo on our candy products. Now, why I adopt this business? First and foremost, I think eating candy is make people happy. I think I want to be in a happy business. Of course, I cannot do it alone, so I have to build a team. And it just happened that my daughter, my niece and nephew, they are about similar age, 22, 23, 24. They just graduate from the university as well. It's a good, for me, it's a good opportunity for this younger generation to learn how to do the business. And I have to play a little, play some tricks in order to allure them to work in this business, because they were thinking of going to work larger company, different organization, etc. So I use some trick. I won't tell them. I use some trick to make sure that they come and work here and that they stay. And it's not only about paying high salary, but giving them responsibility. I think younger people are craving for having a responsibility on certain things on their own, and make sure that they learn and grow as well. They might not know explicitly that I'm there to teach, because I'm not telling, but I'm more like a coach, and help them learn and grow, learning the business, learning how to own the business, how to do things, how organization work, etc., etc. So it's about, first is about bringing happiness, more happiness to this world. Second is about look after the people who are already within the doing the business. Make sure that they look after, they learn and grow and they develop. And with my daughter, niece and nephew coming into the workforce, they learn how to do the business from the very bottom part. So all these, I enjoy doing it. There's no stress.
You just mentioning they do it from the bottom up. It's something too that you've mentioned, that you are still involved at all these levels, right? We've talked before about how, I think in your house, how you are the fixer. You fix the light, or you screw in the new light bulb, you fix some things around the house. And it sounds like you're also very involved in the business too. I think you were saying you sometimes make deliveries on your own as well.
Yeah, I have done that. Yeah, sure.
So do you have any, is that part of your philosophy? Is that just how you operate? Is that how you operated in some of your other roles, to where you weren't too good to do something lower than you? Is that just how you operate?
No, I like the way you said it. Yes, I'm a strong believer that no one is too good for doing certain things. I definitely I enjoy doing it. I like to have my hand dirty if need to be done. It's just me. I just enjoy. I just enjoy it. The other day, I have a chauffeur to drive at home and to do the deliver candy from the factory to the shop. It's just normal that he can't do it 365 days. There will be his day off, his sick leave, his vacation. I can choose either to pay someone else to do it, like a third party. But at the same time, I think, and then what I'm doing, I'm sitting at home watching TV. I think might as well do it myself. It's a good exercise, a relationship with my people, my team. That if he can do it, I can do it as well. That's all I mean. I think it's a part of the leadership quality that I have developed. You lead by example. You get your hand dirty if needed. And in my career, I have been known with my team that when dirty work need to be done, me as a leader, I will be there with them. I love the word. No one is too good for the job.
Yes, good point. Now, that also ties into things like credentials, right? Because I can't help but think some people, when they're going through university or they get some fancy degree, they might feel a little too good to work, right? Because they just want to go through a certain path. And I'm curious if you have an opinion on that. Of number one, again, going back to AI and some of these other things, with the knowledge and the way knowledge is shared changing, how do you think of degrees now? Would you still recommend people getting degrees, let's say in the coming years? But then also, if they do get degrees, do you have any beliefs on whether or not they should be doing anything else, or if the degree is enough?
By all means, I'm not saying that the approach that I live my life is the correct way. I'm no one to say that. It's just a different way, different style. There will be people who can afford to pay somebody else to do the job. Of course, if you choose that path, you are in your own right? You can pay for a driver, you pay for a plumber, you pay for the electrician to do the job. Everyone has a right to live that path as well. But I just chose to be on a different path, whereas whatever I can do it myself, I will try to do it. I'm not success. It doesn't mean that I'm successful in every case. Yeah, there are cases that I have it beyond my skill or beyond my hand, or maybe I'm short of necessary tool and things like that. Then I have to hire someone to do that. Now, I think moving forward, when we talk about education in the Western world, you give importance to a skill worker, right? Develop skill. Whereas in Thailand, it has always been about pushing younger people to university to get a degree. And now we see more and more important of skilled workers. I don't want to contradict myself to the mainstream, but I think it's worthwhile to realize that we have a big shortage of skilled labor in this market, right? And it would be helpful if we have more people who study mechanic, woodwork, electricity, electrician, and plumbing work, etc. Hopefully, one day, the earning level will turn the other side. Actually, it's already is. I'm sure it's already is. The earning level is getting more and more now on the technician side. People start to make a good learning already, and I'm sure moving forward, a blue collar worker will be is an important part, crucial part for the economy for the Thai economy to grow and develop.
Yeah, it's very interesting how it shifted too from AI is going to take your jobs as the blue collar workers or whatever to, you should learn to code, and then it's kind of flipped. And now it's very interesting that it's going the other way, and it's to say who's going to make sure something gets fixed, who's going to help me build something, who's going to, right? And you really need that skilled labor. Sometimes it's the skilled hard labor, right?
There's no point if you graduate, become a civil engineer, but you don't understand what the carpenter or the plumber or the construct of labor are doing.
Now, I want to pivot a little bit to outlook now, because I'll admit that I've heard a bit more negativity in the last year or two. Understandably, I think a lot of companies are struggling sometimes. The economy, there's a lot of uncertainty. I'm talking more globally, right? But still, even in Thailand, and there's just some tension of what's next, what's going to happen. And I'm just curious, I know neither of us know what's going to happen, but how do you think about the future? How do you think about the opportunities? Do you think that there's good things to come to the world, to Thailand, or how do you look at it all?
I'm a strong believer in creating my own, whatever it is. Right? There will always things that you can control and you cannot control. I rather focus on what I can control and make the most out of it, because uncontrollable factor, whether there will be another worldwide war coming up, whether gold price will goes up or come down, stock will go up or come down, etc., etc. Those are things that I cannot control. I would rather focus on what I can and do some homework, make plan, right, and study the subject well, and then come up with the right strategy, right system, good structure, and make sure whatever I believe is the future that I want to create, and make sure that work and focus on what I can control. I can control what time I want to wake up, what time I want to wake up, what time I want to go to bed. I can control that. I can control how many hours I want to make it productive in a day. I can control that, and I will focus on what I can control. And I think if you have done your study thoroughly, you would know what strategy you want to apply to your business. Is the business going up or going down? I can control what I bring into my business. I'm starting to change the packaging. I'm starting to change what I offer to the need of customer, the form, the size, the shape, the packaging, that I can control. So I'm focused on that one. There will be something that I cannot control. Economies will go up or down, but I control my. I have the strategy, I have the system, and I have the structure, which is tight and lean. I believe this is what I can control, and will focus on it.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all playing a game. We can't control the game that we're playing, but we can control how we play it.
Yes.
Right. Now, you've been very generous with your time, Khun Chokdee, and I'm just curious, are there any topics that you wish we had discussed which we haven't?
Oh, I can talk all days, but appreciate the opportunity to be with you today to share my thought to the audience. Really appreciate that. I just wish that social status, different places, different environment that we work with. At the end of the day, we have to coexist. I think Thailand, we can prosper together, or even in the world level, we can. There enough room for all of us, right? And yeah, let's try to work it out and coexist.
That's a good way to end it. I just do want to know, though, if you have any last pieces of advice more on the business side of things, right? Because I think you've mentioned you've mentored a lot of people and you've seen people that make some mistakes. Is there any final recommendation you give to those individuals that are maybe feel like they're alone, maybe feel like they're struggling in some way? What should they do?
Yeah. I would encourage everyone when you need help, just reach out. Help is all around, and I think people easily underestimate the number of help that are available, but there are. Believe me, there are helps available, right? And for example, at OSCHAM, which I am part of it now, is we are here to help and to promote and to support members, activity of the members, next generation, etc., etc. So help it all around. Don't hesitate to reach out, and you never know, you will get some a good idea, good advice through connecting to people, learning from each other, and together we can create a synergy, and then 1+1 will become 3, 4, 5. Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out anytime.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate that. And I guess the last thing that I just want to know from you is for individuals that want to know more about Candy Crush, where can they go? Where can they learn more?
You're very kind. Thank you. It's candycrushthailand.com. Simple as that. And if anyone like to reach out to me personally, happy to, please feel free to do so. I'm available on LinkedIn. So just my name, my last name, and you can find me on LinkedIn.
And you're also very approachable at the Australian Thai Chamber events, I know. And I'm sure you go to a lot of other events as well, but you're super approachable. So
thank you. I appreciate your kind words. But again, I don't want to impose in any way, but if people would like to share some thoughts, share some idea, happy to share my experience.
Yeah. Well, you've been incredibly generous sharing your experience here. So thank you so much for your time, Khun Chokdee. I really appreciate it.
Pressure is all mine. Thank you, Scott.
All right.